Hi there. I wanted to show you something today that I've been working on for over a year now, and the reason that I had to develop it is because for the last about year and a half I've been making moccasins out of denim, and in order to support the Rostern clothes basket here in town, I've been buying used blue jeans and denim from them. And in order to make the moccasins, I've had to strip apart the denim pants and then upgrade it into the moccasins that I make. And then I give the moccasins back to the clothes basket. I'll just show you a couple pairs type that I make. I make them right from the very smallest for newborn babies, and then some sizes for toddlers. Okay, these ones happen to be made out of leather. And then I go into the ones for adults. Now these ones here are the denim with the leather sole on the bottom. So you can see the amount of work it takes, particularly like to tear apart the denim blue jeans into usable fabric. Now I'm sure we're all familiar with this type of seam ripper. Okay, it's got the very stiff point that is very, very sharp, and then a knife edge which as you insert it into the seam cuts the thread. Okay, here's one with a brush on one end and the seam ripper on the other. Okay, now after working with this for a while, I determined that this was not going to be a workable way to take apart the denim blue jeans that I was going to be using for the fabric for the moccasins. So I've gone ahead and I've made what I think is an improvement for taking apart seams that are either in error or that need to be ripped apart for some other reason. And I'm going to share that with you, and I hope that you like it, because I think that it's got great potential to make millions of dollars, and I really feel that there's a lot of potential for this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll demonstrate the different types of knives that I've determined to work with this, and I'll continue the video shortly and demonstrate the seam ripper to you. Hi there. I'm going to carry on showing you an upgrade to our standard seam ripper, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with and dreads having to use because generally it means you've made a mistake. Okay, so we're going to be working with a pair of LL Bean denim blue jeans, and we're just going to pretend that we're going to be making some adjustments both to the cuff and to the waist. And in that we're going to have to take the two parts of the denim jeans apart and to make the different seam allowances. So let me just start off in telling you a bit about how this advancement was made. Okay, for whatever reason, one day I decided that the old seam ripper, I've had enough of it. So I thought I'd been using electric toothbrushes, and I had an old one, and I thought that this would be a pretty good idea to just try and put a knife of some sort on the toothbrush. So I pulled out all of the bristles, and you can see that it's got a pretty good vibrator in there. So I pulled out all the bristles and put in a razor blade that I had. Okay, and that seemed to work quite well. A little bit cumbersome, but it sure went a long way to over the old standard seam ripper. And then I decided I was going to go a little bit, try a couple different types of knives in it. So I went from the razor blade into a scraper blade. Okay, so it's much more sturdy, and it worked. It was an improvement over the razor blade, and so I started using that. And then I discovered a different type of scraper blade that has the serrations in it, and this really made a big difference with the serrations. It really cut through the thread very quickly. So I in the meantime I had purchased another. I'll just set that down. I had purchased another toothbrush, which was much smaller in size, and it seemed to vibrate at a higher frequency than the other ones. Okay, and so then as part of the toothbrush, I took the head and removed all the bristles and hot glued the scraper blade with the serrations on it, and it just fit on there nicely. And this one, maybe you can't tell, but it is, the vibrations are significantly faster than the other one. So I'm going to use this, and we'll just go ahead, and I'm going to start on the cuffs, and we'll just see how quickly we can remove the hem so that we can change the length of the cuffs. So I'll just turn it over here, and I don't think I'll turn the pants inside out, but I'll just leave it like that. I have a thing set up here with an elastic and a paper clip, and that kind of acts as a third hand in order for me to get through these hem in a quick time. Okay, so I'm just going to take it like that, and you'll find that you can use it either as the tip of the blade, or you can use the heel of the blade. Okay, I'm just going to shorten this up a little bit here. Let's see if that's any better. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to open it up just a little bit, going this way. Okay, and you can see how quickly that worked as compared to using our good old seam ripper from days gone by. So we can just keep on working it. And you have to be careful because it's so sharp that you can penetrate all the way to the other side if you are not careful. Now we've come to the toughest part here. Oh, okay, I've already done that. We'll go all the way around. Now we've come, here's our toughest part. And you can see how easily it just goes through that. Okay, so there's how we go. So there's our hem opened up now for making any adjustments for the length, and as compared to using the other one, it operates quite quickly. Now I'm going to go to the other hem, But this time, let's say that we want to get rid of our old bell-bottom blue jeans and make them into a straight leg. So what we have to do is to open up this seam along here. So we're just going to start on the inside here. Okay, so I've opened up this particular seam. So I'm going to open it up so that I can make adjustments. Okay, so I got the elastic set up there, and I'll just get this opened up here a little bit. Trying not to cut anything else. It's very sharp. Okay, so you can see that we've got this one seam opened up. So now what has to be done is that we have to turn it inside out. Okay, because there's another seam, another thread on the inside. So we've got the outside one done. As you can see, if necessary, you can use the back part of the blade to get things going. Okay, and with that, you can see how quickly you can open up your hem to make alterations on it. Now, I'll just turn quickly to the waistband. Okay, so we're going to make some adjustments here. We're going to need to get rid of our belt loops, and you can imagine trying to undo that with an ordinary seam ripper. But here's the secret with this electric seam ripper. You just go on the inside, give it a few passes, and we're done with that. The same for the bottom. Okay, so you could cut here, but the best is to go on the inside, and like I said, give it a few, and then just pull it apart. There we go. There's our seam. Then we can clean this up later. Okay, so on this, I'm going to turn them inside out here. Okay, so here's our jeans again, and we will just start up at the front here. Oh, there we go. Once you get it started, it goes very quickly. Okay, we're just caught on a little bit of steel there, one of the rivets. Okay, so we've got that, and now all we had to do was just continue all the way around. Okay, and you sure get the idea of how much time is being saved with the electric seam ripper, and how every person with a sewing machine would like to have one of these because it would save them a tremendous amount of time. So after I used this particular knife for a while, this blade, I thought I would like to try something different. So what I did is I took a razor blade out of a shaving kit, and I used some cutters and cut it into a shape that was the same shape as one of those little utility knives, and put it on here. The blade on this particular type of razor blade is much thinner than the other one, so it's much more flexible, so you won't be able to force it as much, but it's really quite unbelievable how easily this knife goes through the fabric. Okay, and I would think that a knife somewhere between this one and a razor blade with serrations would be the ideal knife, but that would take a little bit of development and trial and error to get things working good. So here's where we left off. So now here's our razor blade. Woo! This is my first one that I've ever used, so I'm very cautious with it, and it might just be too dangerous, but it sure cuts. Virtually no effort to go through the threads here, and I would show you on a leather jacket, but it cuts the heavier threads just as easy on a leather jacket as these blue jeans. So anyway, you can see that that is a possibility for another type of blade. Now there is some other ideas that I thought could be workable into an assortment of knives for a package that would kind of work together, and we could develop a blade that had the hooks, so that this is a carpet knife, so that you would drag it towards you, and I think we would have to have it in a much smaller size, of course. But that might be something. I haven't really tried it, but in a smaller size, I think it could work out very well. And just for the diehards, I think we could take a knife like this and develop it exactly the way it is here, except that we would secure it onto one of the removable blade holders. Now, the thing about having all these things removable and interchangeable is that once they get dull, it necessitates a trip to the fabric store to get some new blades. Where this, I don't know that people would ever think that this would get dull and that they needed to go to and buy a new one. But as a package, you could have your vibrating machine, maybe with an extra battery and a couple of blades, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 different blade types. And then as the blades got dull, people come back to the fabric store to buy some new ones. So I think there is quite a potential here with this machine, and I would certainly like you to consider producing it, maybe manufacturing a trial run. I think everything would be relatively inexpensive. I think this toothbrush holder, I think, was something like $2, and that came with 2 or 3 of these toothbrush replacement holders. So that's what I've got to offer, and I think that I think there's a lot of potential in developing this. I know that there would be some things that you'd want to change, and that would be perfectly acceptable. I was thinking that we could go into a partnership so that after the expenses for development and manufacturing were met, that we could share in any profits thereafter. So I'm open to suggestions, and hope to hear from you again in the not too distant future. So with that, all the best to you, and you have a good day.